Hey guys, I'm going to be talking to you in this video about Pastafarians. Now at first you might think this is ridiculous, but this is a real religion. Now, what this religion is about is, think of this, the term soul food. Now, if at first you don't think of the correlation, you might think, this seems kind of strange, what does this have to do with, another thing? But the fact that that term exists means something, right? And the fact that Pastafarianism exists means something else, right? The idea is that soul food is exactly what your body needs when it needs it, and in terms of nourishment. But what they say is food for the soul. Now think of that in terms of Pastafaarianism, which is the belief in what they would call the flying spaghetti monster, which is to say that Italian, in the Latin sense, is like, the eternal city. Because Rome is the eternal city, so Italy in the Latin sense is like, the eternal kind of metric for everything being exactly right. Now, in terms of Pastafarianism, that's kind of a big deal, because spaghetti is like the Italian food, right? So that's kind of why that fits. And I don't need to explain anything about the meatballs, but the idea that what you believe in regards to life and how life is incorporated into your life is very much something to consider. And the fact that there is a God of, I'll say, food is very important, because keep in mind that every life on earth exists, be it a human life or animal life. So to ever eat food that is considered taking a life of anything that's living is something to consider, and it all fits into a very complicated system. So thank God you don't have to worry about that. You should definitely, give your praise to someone, and that's Pastafarianism. So the idea of this religion is that, well, everything fits into a very perfect balance where every person gets what they need, as they need it, when they need it, and nothing more. The idea is, do not take more than what you need, do not ask for more than what you want, and do not expect anything other than what you deserve. Those are the three beliefs in Pastafaarianism, which will help you to be a humble human life form and or animal that does consume and or eat, however you want to put it, the things that you need to survive, and the things that you eat that are yours, and the things that are distinctly your own in regards to soul food. So, that having been said, take this religion seriously. You don't necessarily have to go to church to worship it, because you can worship it at your dining room table. I don't know if there are any churches, that's why, but if there were, at least maybe stop by once to consider. If there were, I don't know, maybe just more of an informal thing. But either way, you should definitely be thankful for that religion. You should definitely be grateful for it. You should definitely take it seriously to the point where you don't discount it or try to mock it for existing. It does have an essential value. But do just keep in mind that even if it is different, it doesn't necessarily make it bad, and it doesn't. Just because it's not your base religion doesn't mean it's not valid. And just because it's not something you ever considered before doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily pertain in some way, possibly ever, to your life. So keep that in mind, and keep this video in mind with an open mind. And not everything you ever thought before, not everything you consider to be true, is necessarily always valid or necessarily will always be valid. So, with that having been said, next time you sit down to eat and you say, praise God, wonder, whenever you first envisioned God and all the things that God does, did you ever envision God being somebody who's going to be serving you food? Because that's maybe not something you would have thought when you imagined God. But now maybe you might consider that your God and the God you worship and what's in bounds or in ground for what he does in his ideological belief that you cultivate as part of your religion is necessarily, the entire thing for everything in regards to what he could be doing if you were outside of what he would already be doing. So with that being said, just keep in mind that not all gods and all religions do the same thing. So note, when you worship a certain god for a certain thing, you should be noting that, you should always be giving praise to where it's deserved. So before you necessarily say your prayers to a god who you believe is maybe like a creator of life on earth or something like that, consider that he isn't the same God as the one who's serving you food. So just keep that in mind, and keep in mind where you're saying your praise to and what you're saying your praise for, is that not everything you say is necessarily always going the way it's supposed to, even if you think it's just that easy, because it's not. And if you do take faith seriously and you take your belief seriously, then you should always be putting your gratitude and your faith and your worshiping kind of thing where it deserves to go, because that's kind of the point of theological and like the moral grounded sense of this is the right theological belief system that I should be adhering to if I'm going to be practicing my theological faith and or demonstrating. So do keep that in mind as you go about your life, and try to fit everything in where it goes, just so you're praising the right God for the right thing. So with that having been said, I will be touching on other religions in other videos, including the In God We Trust and the monotheistic belief of the United States of America in that way. But I'll get back to that in a sec. I will say this, that God is Mormon, but I will not touch upon that anymore. Because we'll talk about it in a different video. But I will say this, hope you learned something today about Pastafaarianism, hope it opened your minds, and hope you have more appreciation for, the different kind of religions you might not have considered before that do things that are important and essential in your life. So keep that in mind, and I hope you have a wonderful and great day with maybe a new open-mindedness to it. So that having been said, I'm Henry Jonathan Quintaro. Peace out.